this. Welcome, everybody. This is the first of a series of pre-talks we will have leading up to the big Knowledge Festival event in June of this year. And the topic of the whole Knowledge Festival is the immune system and the ways to enhance and to improve your immune system, seen from many different directions by many experts of many fields of medicine. And in the pre-talks, we will have many guests to give us a fundamental understanding of their fields and what they bring to the table once they will have the open discussions at the Knowledge Festival. Now, for the first pre-talk, we are very happy to have Dr. A Siddha medicine expert, Dr. Thirunarayanan, who is the secretary of Center for Traditional Medicine and Research, the CTMR, which is an NGO. CTMR functions in the traditional healthcare space and runs 2 Ayush health centers and 2 mobile clinics catering to fishermen and other marginalized communities. With his team, he focuses on treating lifestyle disorders like diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, immune-related diseases like bronchial asthma and skin diseases, and provides care for cancer through traditional medicine wisdom of India. Today, he will be kind to give us a real introduction by an expert into the field of Siddha medicine. And we're very happy to have him go on with that. So, sir, please have a go at that one. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Siddha system of medicine is a traditional South Indian system of medicine where most of the literatures are in Tamil. There are literatures in the other South Indian languages like Malayalam, Kannada, and Telugu. So these texts or the literature are given to us by whom we call as the Siddhas. Siddhas are the ones who achieved perfection, people who accomplished, right? And they form the Saiva Siddhanta philosophy. The cornerstone of this system of medicine are 4. One is living in harmony with the nature. Second, what you eat is what you are. Your food is your medicine. If your food is around you, your medicine cannot be elsewhere. So that is the second basic component. Third component, or the cornerstone of this system of medicine, is there is a strong bond linkage between the body and the mind. So a better understanding of a healthy body with a healthy mind, sound body in a sound mind. This is the third important concept. The fourth concept is each individual is unique and you have to treat the individual based on his prakriti, his lifestyle, his dietary habits, his work culture, and you cannot, though there is a customized and tailor-made is possible, within a broad spectrum of common treatment, standard treatment protocol, that physician has to determine, decide what specific has to be given to an individual. This is the important factors of Siddha system of medicine. One more I would like to add is Siddha system focuses on prevention, promotion, cure, as well as what we call as rejuvenation. Rejuvenation therapy is something that, prevention is you prevent a disease by taking a course. Regeneration is whether you are diseased or not diseased, as you progress in age, there are certain changes which are physiological, which may limit you. So to postpone that derangement, aging process, what we have is something called as the regenerative therapy or the Kaya Kalpa therapy. For the understanding of the Ayurvedic community, I can call it which is very similar to the Rasayana therapy. Right? This is the basics of the Siddha, which is basic introduction to Siddha. I would also like to give a very brief introduction to the kind of work Center for Traditional Medicine Research do in this field. Number one is documentation of the traditional knowledge by two ways. One is the oral tradition. Go and meet the traditional healers who are in the remotest areas, still catering to the needs of the public, who are knowledgeable, who are elderly. Document their oral tradition by videography and recording of their information with the prior consent. Taking the knowledge with the prior consent, and which should not be used for any commercial utilization without due acknowledgement or compensation to them. Second is digitization of the traditional Siddha palm manuscripts. This is the written tradition. First is the oral tradition. This is the written tradition. So we go around the state of Tamil Nadu, collect the palm manuscripts, which are with the individuals, digitize them, create a bilingual catalog in Tamil and English for any future researcher to go through what is there in that. We focus only on medical literature, though astrology and other things are also there in the palm manuscript. Our focus is only on Siddha medical literature. Third, as I said, is the clinical service that we render. Fourth is the one of the strong area is cultivation, conservation of medicinal plants, in which we create school herbal garden, kitchen herbal garden, industrial herbal garden, bigger parks with the common facilities, and then promoting herbal cultivation among farmers. In the closer to the natural habitat. When we talk about cultivation, we don't introduce a new plant in a new area, but we introduce the cultivation in an area adjoining to the place where it is widely grown, so that the basic components are not compromised. The active components are not compromised. Then comes the part on publication. CTMR has been doing a lot of publication based on Siddha. Textbooks we are publishing like on external therapies of Siddha medicine, national beats of Siddha, introduction to Siddha medicine, which is also translated in other languages, and health recipes, whatever is relevant to the community at large. So that is one of the areas. Small handouts on medicinal plant cultivation for home garden and things like that. The other activity is advocacy awareness. We serve in many of the government committees to bring in the common man's needs, felt need, community need to the table of the policy makers. So that is one of the major activities. We do write for the vernacular magazines, lay press, and give interviews in TV. We participate in talk shows, health talk shows in the vernacular TV, so that the right message. Currently a lot of wrong messages reach the public. So it's important that we demystify the traditional knowledge, make it a scientifically accepted one for the common man. So that is all the activities of CTMR. Now let me go into the topic straight. What is immunity? See, there are different understanding about immunity, but to put it in simple terms, in terms of Siddha knowledge, is the ability of the body to withstand a disease. It could be an infectious disease, it could be a lifestyle disorder. Right? Your endurance, your adaptability when you live in various climatic conditions, when you have different stress in work, your ability to withstand a disease, or your ability to prevent onslaught of a disease-causing organism. Today is very relevant because lot of series of viral diseases, not just the COVID-19. We have dengue, we have chikungunya, we have swine flu, we have avian flu. These are the viral diseases sweeping the world, Ebola, Nipah, you name it. So all this thing are by viruses. So our body, see, we will get exposed to the viruses. We cannot prevent that. Though we adopt all the precautions, particularly people like us, the health workers, we get exposed to the viruses because of our occupational hazard. But our body should have the capability so that the virus does not multiply, progress in us and cause a disease burden. So that is what we consider as the immunity in Siddha. Second, we all know the distinction between the active immunity and the passive immunity. Active immunity is long lasting, acquired through the production of antibodies from within our body's ability to produce the antibodies. I will explain to you a little later and what are the mechanisms by which it can be achieved. Second is the passive immunity. This is where the modern medicine relies more on, which is short acting, acquired by transfer of antibodies, by vaccination, to put it in simple terms. The ability of the human body to withstand any invasion without causing signs and symptoms of a disease or its complication is what Siddha prescribes as immunity. This immunity, according to Siddha tradition, comes to a person at birth. Your immune mechanism starts right at your birth. Second, as you progress in age, you attain immunity, natural immunity, as you progress in age, from an infant to a childhood to a young adult. Then the immunity you get through your food, the seasonal adaptations, like what we call the daily regimen and the seasonal regimen, right? So that is something important. Then most important is the lifestyle. Lifestyle plays a very important role in building up of immunity in a human being. Last but not the least is the environment. It's not just a physical environment or the five primordial elements of earth, water, air, space, and fire. It's also about your mental makeup, your surrounding, the people with whom you have a relationship, and all these things as an environment here. That's why the first principle is living in harmony with the nature. So environment plays a very important role in the building of immunity, right? So when we talk about natural immunity, it comes through this. The modern understanding of immunity is you cannot take any kvada, kashaya, a decoction or a herbal tea to get an immunity. You require a vaccine. Right or wrong, we'll discuss about it a little later. This is the difference in understanding that I want to highlight. Or what is more important for us is what we call as the soil and seed theory. Also what is called as Kaya Kalpa. The two components, I am merging them together for the better understanding. See, even if you have a good robust seed with 100% germination certified, if you throw in a hot surface or a rock, it is not going to germinate, right? In an unplowed hot soil, it's not going to germinate. But whereas, if your soil is well tilled, soft and easy, even where seeds which are less viable can grow. The comparison is the microbes that invade you. Around us, there are millions of microbes. Not everybody gets disease just because they get exposed to microbes or virus. Only a set of people who are bodily weak, they get the disease. That's why Siddha insists that you keep your body strong, keep your mind strong, so that even if there are microbes, the microbes cannot grow in you. The robust, rocky, solid body will not allow the microbes to enter and multiply within you, right? But however, in current context, it's a long way now, 1 year now, but still there's a question mark. Particularly, In India, we had in Kerala and Maharashtra a wave which is not contained at all. 60 to 70% of the COVID cases are from these two states. UK, US, a lot of countries, there is no plateauing or no downtrend. Right? So in this context, I cannot but insist on the social distancing, wearing mask, frequent hand washing, following our traditional wisdom of quarantine and cleanliness. See, in South Indian families, many families, there is what we call as the cleanliness, achar, that you don't get exposed to people or exposed to crowd before you do your prayers and things like that. Don't touch from anything from outside, don't eat food from outside. All those regulations are there for centuries now. Similarly, if there's somebody who's got a pox in that neighborhood and area, they'll put the neem leaf on the rooftop so that people know there is somebody is infected, nobody enters in, nobody leaves. Similarly, when a temple festival starts, the community living around the temple, once the flag is hoisted, is what we call the flag hoisting ceremony on the first day of the commencement of a temple festival. So once that is hoisted, people from the neighborhood cannot leave the place or enter the place. It is what we call as a quarantine. So this knowledge was there with us earlier too. Relevant today, right? Then when you talk about good immunity, though our topic is way to enhance immunity, I slightly differ from the topic because in some areas you require immune enhancement, you require immunosuppressants. But here in COVID, we have seen what we call as this cytokine storm. The cytokine storm occurs because of the violent reaction, hyperimmunity, bronchial asthma, allergic dermatitis. All these conditions, your immune response is so strong that you cannot further enhance the immunity. That will create more of a problem. And coming to the Western side, if you have, organ transplant, you require immunosuppressants. Right. So the best word to use for us is what we call as the immunomodulant. Is a balance of things. We have what we call as the immunomodulants in Siddha. Right. I have given examples of HIV, diabetes patients who are immunocompromised, for where you require to build up immunity. But in cases like cytokine storm and hypersensitivity in post-organ transplant, you require immunosuppressant. And what that is a range of diseases called as autoimmune disorders, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, where you require immunomodulant. You can't talk of immunoenhancer or immunosuppressants. So this is something which different that we would like to make note of. Right. How do our body fight disease? Be it lifestyle disorders or infectious diseases. The first thing that we insist is the food, ahara. I'll explain it to them a little later. Then you have the lifestyle, your exercise, then the proper rest, adequate rest. If you take adequate 6-7 hours of rest, your body rebuilds its immunity. So that healthy mind, purity in thought and purity of action. The Ashtanga Yoga. People might have heard about Ashtanga Yoga. Saying Thirunarayanan, a Siddha, has some 56 verses on the Ashtanga Yoga in Tamil, like close to what we call as the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. We also have a similar text called as Tirumula Tirumandaram, where this Ashtanga Yoga is explained in detail. Important is to control the existing diseases. Like particularly in a country like India, we have more than 22% of the adult Indian population who are diabetic. 13 to 14% of adult Indian population are hypertensive. From a time of malnutrition, protein energy malnutrition, which we studied during our school days and college days, now we have problems of obesity and overweight. Right? So These are certain things that we need to, dyslipidemia. Very unfortunately, southern states of Tamil Nadu, India, people have taken more to alcohol. Kerala and Tamil Nadu, the percentage of people consuming alcohol is very high. So we require to shun those bad habits, smoking, tobacco consumption. Then the environment is getting challenged every day in the name of development. So that development also needs to be a very sustainable development. When we maintain this, we will have a better environment. Then when it comes to food, it's very important to have food only when the previously consumed food is digested. Saint Thirunarayanan says that repeatedly. Then have food at regular intervals when you have good appetite. Don't go by clockwise precision. If you do a lot of physical activity, you may require to eat a little more. Right? All the food that you take is depends upon what kind of physical activity you have, mental activity you have. And then in the food pyramid, if you have a food pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid should be your sattvic food. You require the rajas and tamas also to some extent, but the bottom of the pyramid and the larger part of your food pyramid should be food rich in fruit and vegetables. Right? When I say fruit and vegetables, it also includes some of the dairy products, like the skimmed milk, buttermilk, though they are not technically into this category, but they are into the category of sattvic food. Right? Indian gooseberry, watermelon, pomegranate, soluble fiber that you get from fenugreek, licorice, turmeric, some of the spices, long pepper. All those things are healthy food, sattvic food, which can help you in a better immunity. It's very important to maintain a healthy weight. BMI, everybody understands now, body mass index. So it is essential to keep it below 25. For that, you avoid too much of food, indulgence in food, too much of sweets, ice creams, chocolates, cheese, butter, a lot of organ meat, and all those things. And starchy food, that is also very important. So that is what we call as intelligent carbohydrate. So there are some millets, some varieties of native varieties of rices. All those things are intelligent carbohydrates that they don't increase your glycemia, blood sugar level immediately. They take a longer time to increase that in a phased manner. So that gives you a sustained energy, right? So that is what we call as intelligent carbohydrate. This is part of our South Indian food, Siddha food. Unhealthier food on the other side is what we call as the preserved food, the stale food, too much of fermented food. These are something which should be avoided to prevent atherosclerosis, diabetes, and things like that. Lifestyle and exercise make a very important contribution in this. Sitting in the right posture. Yeah? We work for hours together before the computer nowadays. So right from the posture, you get the neck pain, you get the back pain, you feel weak, you stressed out, right? So the right posture, the yogic practices, the breathing exercises, the pranayama, regular physical activity is important. At least for, I use the fitness band that minimum of 7,000 feet a day, right? It's required now because it's the motivation. We fail to do that for work, but this is a motivation. So earlier we used to go to the field for a botanical garden, for things like that. Now when we are limited to a room of the COVID situation, you require something like this to ensure that you walk like that. Right? Some physical activity, movements, it reminds you of you have to do this physical activity. Otherwise, focusing on the computer for a long time causes a lot of damages. Like 20 minutes of moderate exercise stimulates immune system. It produces anti-inflammatory cell response. We have seen many people with chronic illness are very successful when they do proper exercises regularly. Then comes the nidra. Nidra is the sleep, right? So, well, we also nowadays fail to sleep properly. There's a chronic sleep deprivation. This chronic deprivation lowers the immune system and reduces the circulation of the white WBC. So, the balance between the deep sleep, the REM sleep, and the shallow sleep, they are combined together, the 7 hours is something that we recommend. It could be 3 hours of deep sleep and 3.5 hours of this thing in REM. More of REM, you have rapid eye movement. Or REM, you have the more of creativity that you have. And especially that's what they say. Early morning, whatever you dream, it happens. It's not really dream. It's actually, your thought process. So when you think early in the morning, it gets implanted for the day's work. Or this is what I have to do for the day. Plan your day work when you are in the REM sleep, right? So then your day becomes very perfect. Some of the gurus like Swami Chinmayananda used to say, if you have to be perfect at 6 in the evening, you have to be punctual at 5:30 in the morning. So that is something that is very important. And early to bed and early to rise is very, very important. We have to go with the sunlight. Our circadian rhythm, the organ clock, works according to the solar. That's why in Indian tradition, the day does not start at midnight. The day for us starts with the rise of the sun, dawn. Our calculation of day is only from the sunrise of that particular day. It's not 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Depending upon the region where you live, you are even in India, the western side or the eastern side. We in the eastern side in the Bay of Bengal coast, our sun comes early. Arabian Sea coast, sun comes a little later. But in Mumbai, it settles at 9:30, you are bright sunlight. So that difference is also within a country like India. Also, we have this variation. Imagine when you are taking your traditional knowledge globally, we have to think globally and act locally, depending upon the tailor-made our traditional knowledge of Siddha Ayurveda to the local requirements. Very important is sleep in a well-ventilated place. Switch off the lights. Very important that we fail to do. Many times we carry our cell phone to the bedroom, laptop to your bedroom. So these are something which should be avoided for sure if you want a better immunity. Then no harm. I don't take my mobile phone at 9:30 in the night and take it at 4:30 in the morning. So it doesn't really cause any damage. We are not billionaire businessmen. We are all killing doctors. So for us to practice it regularly is very important. So we can only preach what we practice. So that's important. So avoid sleep during the day unless otherwise necessary. A short nap of 15 minutes is okay, but not beyond that. All right? And the gap between your supper and sleep also matters. A clear 2 hours. Stress. So it's easy for every one of us to talk about stress. Stress management. But how do we do that? This is again, we learn from what we call as the Ashtanga Yoga. Pratyahara is not controlling the senses. Pratyahara is withdrawing the senses. What you see, what you hear, what you eat, what you speak, what you touch, right? So you learn to withdraw. They will coexist. You cannot avoid. There will be a noise. There will be a music. There will be something the neighbor's house. You cannot stop that. But you can train your mind to withdraw from these sensory stimuli. Then comes what is the Dhyana, the meditation. It's not necessary that you have to do a Dhyana like a yogi for hours. It should be a short meditation of 3 minutes to 5 minutes at different part of the day. Then mantra, chanting, right? Whatever of your choice. This de-stresses. Nothing else is a better de-stressor than a music for a common man. The melodious music, gardening, even a small garden with 10 pots. You see a new leaf, new flower, new seed, new fruit. Uh, it is so, energizing. So that is how you can control your stress. Very important is learn to control the passions. Ashtaraga, desire, lust, ego, arrogance, greed, hatred are something that we should learn to avoid. Right? And no competition. Everybody has got his own space. Right? And we should know our own limitations as an individual. Once we have this realization, contentment, then controlling the passion is not very difficult. So, what we call is the art of self-realization. That's more important to de-stress ourselves and to have a better immunity. You know why? Happy moments increase your immune status. Chronic stress suppresses your immune response. So that is why the Siddha concept of body-mind relationship is more important to immunity. Okay, this is very common. I will not elaborate on that because of time. Alcohol, smoking, tobacco, chewing, drugs. Healthy environment. We should learn to live in a well-ventilated space. Yes, there are people who have difficulties in finding this kind of space, but where it is possible. The rapid urbanization is a real challenge. For a city like Bangalore, which was a retirement paradise 20 years ago, Pune, even within Kerala, you look at Trivandrum and Cochin. The kind of change Cochin has seen the past one decade, I'm really scared. Right? Trivandrum is still the urban-rural kind of a combination. So well-ventilated space, greenery all around. Very important, good drinking water source. See, I will give you one example. I don't know who are all the audience, but at least for the Indian audience is very relevant. When you provide safe drinking water, one of the corporate social responsibility of a company build up the water dispensation facility, RO facility, the paid facility. They give a smart card, you can take such quantity of drinking water. If you see travel from Anekatti to Attapadi, in the tribal area also they have put that water facilities now, public facilities, but regulated, controlled, clean and all those things, maintained by outsourcing. What happened is, infectious disease like diarrhea, which is causing disease in children, infant mortality, jaundice, all the waterborne diseases have reduced significantly within 1 year to 60%. 60% reduction. That is why now our Prime Minister of India talks about the Jal Shakti activity, where every house will have a nala, a tap, and every tap will have a drinking water. That's the emerging activity of providing safe drinking water. That is because you may have water, it could be saline. You may have water which could have mercury, which could have arsenic in different regions. So the responsibility for both of us, the public and the government, and the doctors like us, is to insist on getting safe drinking water. Right? That's the responsibility. Pollution-free environment. Another example from the urban population I will give you. There are a lot of tall apartment complexes. Some of them have a tendency to feed the pigeons. Right? See, a bird or animal is a natural thing. It knows where to get its food. Right? What we try to do is domesticate them. by putting some wheat or rice or millets. We invite them home. Bird droppings, bird feathers, the mites in them, the pets and the birds, causes severe allergic reactions in the young and the old. Right? So we need to understand the pollution does not come only from the air conditioner, from the car that we use, the industries that we run. It also comes from small things that we do. The major things we cannot change as a physician. Keeping our, AC ventilator clean, pillow cover clean, bed sheets clean, can prevent a lot of allergy, immune-related bronchial asthma kind of stuff. Right? These are simple changes that we need to adapt. Natural farming, healthy soil. Okay, it's a large area. People will understand that. Nothing called as organic farming because you're using water that's not contain carbon. Agriculture itself is not this thing. It's a cultivation. It's a process. It's not against nature. So, okay, whatever we can do is use the natural inputs to grow plants. Avoid use of pesticide and fertilizers, and use most of the natural fertilizers which will not systemic, which will not go into the plant, into the food, into the grains. So that we should follow. This is very important, very relevant. Even in a tropical country like India, vitamin D deficiency is becoming very strong now. Degenerative arthritis is becoming very strong now. You know why? People have reluctance. It's a time over. People have reluctance to go into the sunlight. So proper exposure to them. Versus people from some parts where there is no sunlight for 3 to 4 months. Right? So we need to find a mechanism so that they use the adequate sunlight when even there is there. That's important. Clean surroundings. Swachh Bharat. You might have heard about the term Swachh Bharat. Clean India movement. That is very important for us, for a healthy environment. Keep good control of comorbidity. We know the number of people who are suffering from all these diseases. Many people ignore to take a proper lifestyle, proper food, proper medication, whether it's herbal or non-herbal. Pharmacological and non-pharmacological interventions are very important, and doing a test at the regular interval. Don't ignore. So this is very important. If you control your comorbidity, because now the challenges, most of the deaths, though it's minimum 1.25% to 1.8% in India, the COVID deaths, it's all in people with comorbidity. So it's a responsibility for us to keep the comorbidity low, under control. When it comes to immunomodulant herbs, right? I talk about food, lifestyle, and all those things. What are the immunomodulant herbs? That's what we call as a Kaya Kalpa herbs in India, in Siddha, right? Kaya Kalpa is what? It's about longevity. It's about improved memory and intelligence because your sense organs go down as you age, right? Similarly, your memory, short-term memory gets lost, long-term memory you remember. Something very similar to Alzheimer's, right? So freedom from disorder, youthfulness, excellence of hair and complexion, good voice, right? Optimum development of physique and sense organs, mastery over phonetics and brilliance. That's very important you communicate, right? These are what we call as the Kaya Kalpa herbs, right? The most important Kaya Kalpa herbs are list out. The literature is abundantly available in PubMed and other things that you can go through that. The first is Andrographis paniculata, which is immunomodulant, hepatoprotective, hypoglycemic, antiviral, you name it, it has got all the activities. King of bitters, Andrographis paniculata. Curcuma langa needs no explanation for anybody with common knowledge, right? Turmeric, the curcumin, its anti-inflammatory property, anti-infective property, right? Antioxidant property, anti-aging property, wound healing property. I don't have to explain that. Tinospora cordifolia, what we call the elixir, Amrutaballi, right? So we know it's a good immunomodulant. Amla Narjuna, Indian gooseberry, a gooseberry away keeps a doctor miles away. right? Arjuna, Tamil Arjuna, dyslipidemia, hypercalcemia, your heart disease, atherosclerosis. All these things can be managed by one magic bath, terminally Arjuna, right? That's a Kaya Kalpa. Kaya Kalpa, we have specific, one for general, one for organ specific. Eagle Marmos, one of the best of immunomodulant. Vilvapatra, Boswellia serrata, the way in which it controls the cytokine storm, the way in which can the TNS alpha inhibitor, the interleukins, how it manages all those things. Boswellia serrata is the frankincense. Such a wonderful drug. Vicania somnifera needs no explanation because it has been well researched in DRDO, in the Sitchin glacier also. So we know it's a very good adaptogen. We in Siddha believe in what we call the balancing the three humors, Vada, Pitta and Kapha. What they are, the dry ginger, Sunti, the black pepper and the long pepper. The combination of the three, Trikatu we call it, three pungents in English. A dose of three pungent, I have seen for most of the patients with allergic rhinitis, sinusitis, bronchial asthma, dermatological allergy, right during the season, if it's from the western region, where the monsoon starts from June, a course of 40 days with honey, and a half teaspoon. In our eastern belt, October, November, take for 40 days for a season. You will not get bronchial asthma even if you are a bronchial asthmatic. You will not get into status asthmatic. You will not get into skin allergies. You will not. That is the way it modulates your by balancing all the three humors of Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So the three pungents is something which is very important. Dry ginger, Sunti is anti-inflammatory. So balances the Vada. Pepper balances the Pitta. Long pepper the Kapha. Right? So this combination balance all the three. Thank you very much for your time. I think I finished in my prescribed time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That was great. That was just great. You gave us a real nice insight into everything that everybody can do for a better system all around. And actually, it's not too hard to have a better life, right? It's actually for everybody.
Yes.
Now I give it to you, Vinayak. Maybe you have some questions or some notes I saw that you took. Maybe you want to chime in.
Thank you. So anyway, it was really wonderful. I mean, I think you summarized the whole thing in a very short duration, which is pretty good. I think there are certain common things because I think what we are trying to do is that whatever from Siddha we can take in, we are trying to bring it into the platform, And so when we do that, we see that many aspects are common, So the aspects of food, exercise and rest and meditation. And these things are not much discussed actually when we actually speak about immunity, because I think this holistic idea of taking care of everything in terms of how you live. And as you said, maybe perhaps we all should become like Siddhas, So that's, I think, if we can at least work towards that direction, which will require kind of refining yourself, and also like refining the community and the thing you live around. So I think there's a lot of things that are common, I think, and that when we look at Ayurveda also, I think also the herbs that you told, actually a lot of things have been studied. So I think it is important to also bring this out. I think that is what we are trying to do, to bring the effort of bringing this knowledge out. And I think you've given a really good start to that. And I think we will have a lot of discussions in the coming months. I think I think few things, I think, which I liked what you said about actually is about the not, I would say, enhancing, but maybe the right word would be optimizing it,
Yes, yes.
So I think that was an interesting thing which we can change, actually, which is good. Yeah, I think as time passes, I think we'll have some questions, actually. I think you covered most of the areas, I think, which is important. And I think we'll also call you back again down the line. So I think we'll have more discussions in other areas. And I think, as you know, also a lot of Siddha doctors are coming in the next weeks, speaking about different areas. And what would we expect is that because to validate these claims, because when we say, okay, ashwagandha is good for, we need to validate that, and that requires a large how we say participation from the people in the field, actually. So that's why we are also requesting physicians and researchers, even patients, actually, who had some benefit from taking Tulasi and the cough got better, that they come and share their experience on the platform, because the more people do that, we can actually claim that validation for what you're saying here, actually, and yeah, I think it's a good start, sir. I think thank you so much for taking your time and being with us here. I think yeah, I think we should Wes, anything you would like to conclude with that?
No, I think that was really a round one. You explained everything beautifully. I think this is a great first step for these pre-talks, because it gives us just the right thing to build upon, because these are the fundamentals. If you're not living a healthy lifestyle in all dimensions, then all the medicine will not work on you. It's just the same, but because of that, I think you gave us just exactly the right thing to start from, and therefore I'm really deeply grateful for putting all this beautiful presentation together and talking us through. And for today, that's it. We're very thankful for your time, and see you next time.
Thank you.